All right, I see it now.
Should we call him and check like whether he has any technical challenges?
I mean, he got connected twice. I think he's probably.
And I also saw someone along with him. So they're probably the team that was helping him set it up.
Okay.
I did notice that his connection was weak because his wireless signals were showing red all the time.
Man.
No. How is working? Okay, there we are.
All right, awesome. All right, so I don't know what you actually heard earlier. We just did some introductions real quick. So I'm Tim Kennedy, head of product development here at Hitgoalz.
Hold on, we have a, we can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, it's down here, Chris. Up to the right.
Yeah, I can see you get your
Yeah.
All right, now we're somewhere. Can you hear us?
Yes, hear you real
Hear
well.
you. Finally, we were technically a little challenged, but we're here.
All right, that's what's important.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm Tim Kennedy. I'm the head of product here at Hitgoalz. On the call with us from our team is Hari, as well as Ajit. Hari is our business head, and Ajit is our customer success head there.
Yeah, hi, Tim.
Gentlemen,
How y'all doing?
talk to you.
Good. Thank you.
And so before we just sort of dive into the demo here, can you give me a little bit of background about kind of what you guys maybe thought Hitgoalz, like where it would fit, maybe a problem that it might be solving or application you might be wanting to use it for?
So I don't know if you're familiar with Gino Wickman's EOS platform. A lot of companies are running this now. They call it an entrepreneurial operating system. So it's sort of a business system. I don't know, more companies we talk to, we find a lot of people are doing it. However, we're doing it, and we're doing it in 4 locations, 4 or 5, basically 5 different teams. And so we've set some goals. We'd like to make in our shop in general, in terms of production goals and also in relation to our EOS, and I don't know if you're familiar with the system, but there are things called rocks, and then we do have scorecard items that we're tracking in different teams. We have specific meetings called L10s where we go through these things. But the visibility of these things in and around our workspaces is lacking. So that would be one expectation I would have had. Mention that it kind of games things, gets things out there in a visual way, and that was being a possibility. But I didn't really have much more knowledge or understanding of the product beyond the fact that it's a visual goal sort of KPI system.
Okay, cool.
So Tim, just before you start, I thought I'll jump in. Hey, Mike, I mean, it's interesting that you brought about EOS, and I'm a big fan of Traction, and so I was responsible to implement Traction twice in 2 different organizations. So in fact, the product itself has some more core basics of what EOS and Traction is about. So what you call as the rocks, which is the 90-day goals, is what we in our system probably you will see as quests. What we have done is like we have taken Traction framework, and we ourselves in our other outfit, we use a scaling up framework, which you might be familiar also. Which
that's Vern Harnish, sure.
Yeah, Vern Harnish. So we have taken some of those principles, and the Silicon Valley uses another popular terminology called as OKRs, the objectives and key results. All these three fundamentally have the same philosophy that the organization has a shared vision, and that vision has to kind of percolate towards the entire organization, and everybody's working towards the same shared goals, though they do have individual goals and accomplishments. And that's the philosophy that we have taken, and we have built a product, and Tim will continue further. Thanks. I just wanted to add this piece so that you know.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So what we're going to do is our demo is hands-on in the sense of we're going to actually just take you through the program and show you a bit of how you'd set it up. And actually, after the demo, what we'll do is we'll give you access to this demo account with the data, so you can actually get in and play around with it for a little bit before we touch base again.
Okay. So before we get started, just so you know who's in the room for us, I got myself, Chris Van Ralton. He's our operations manager, or he has the operations seat in EOS, and Ryan Lochner, who's in human resources, who's got a separate seat. So so that's how we're organized here for today.
Awesome. Pleasure to meet you, gentlemen. So what we're going to do first off is we're going to go in and create some of what Hari was referring to, these quests. What these are basically sort of week over week activities, and then we also will have kind of our longer term quarterly goals that we'll add here as well. And so one thing that we really look at, and one thing you probably notice right off the bat, is this interface is far different than any other enterprise software that you may have seen. What we've done is we've actually done a lot of research into gamification as it relates to employee engagement, productivity, motivation, things like that. And so a lot of the choices that we've made here really revolve around that research, and we've got a lot of really good feedback so far from it. But also, just to let you know, the gamified version isn't everybody's cup of tea. So we are actively developing a more of a like a classic, a more traditional business kind of looking web app interface. And that'll be selectable on a person-by-person basis. So that'll be ready here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So just wanted to let you know that we have a couple flavors for people to pick from. So to kind of fill this with relevant data to you, is can we just go through maybe 2 or 3 of, I think you said that they're your rocks, essentially, that and what they're quantified towards. So what are the actual goals maybe that you guys have seen or set, so you can see them in the system?
Sure. Our VTO or something like that, or
You just go to the L10 on the box page.
Okay, so then go to manage the L10, and then just bring up the VTO here.
No, or you can bring up the rocks.
All right, so what kind of a goal are you looking for? We've got a lot of them. So
sure.
Say ship $1 million out of heavy step, commercial out of heavy step. That's got a good beginning and an end.
So I heard ship $1 million of what exactly?
Commercial work.
Marshall work?
Commercial work.
Commercial.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have here is basically just sort of an empty template. We're going to add basically.
That would be in a quarter, right? Or by the end of the year.
That was by the end of the year.
So that would be an annual goal. So that's all they do is less than $1 million.
Oh, that was the Rock shit $1 million commercial out of Heavy Fab in the last quarter.
In the last quarter, so it's a 90-day goal.
It was a 90-day goal.
Okay.
Okay. So basically what we do is we go ahead and name it. This is sort of the prettified name. You know, this is what everybody will see. Inside of here, this is the actual target. Depending on how the system is set up, we have the capability to integrate with several different types of software to actually automatically pull data. So a lot of times, I know this looks very similarly named. More often than not, this is sort of a programmery, what the system calls it. But when we're doing it just sort of manually like this, we names tend to be very similar. So we're just going to name it, put what we're tracking, and then actually put the quantity down here. We have the ability to, now this is a demo account, so it just has the one user. But whenever you guys actually come on for a full 90-day free trial, you'll be able to set up your entire organization in here along with reporting structures. And so what that'll enable you to do is at whatever level you're at, you'll be able to assign any quest all the way down your reporting structure. So the higher you get, the more people you'd be able to directly assign it to. You can assign it directly to your direct reports, or if there's a need, you can actually go deeper than that. By default, it just assigns it to yourself unless you select something else. Now, talking about sort of this hierarchy of goals, is this goal in relation to another? So this shipping 1 million of commercial product obviously is going to have multiple components underneath it. And when we create a couple more of these quests, we'll show you, or I'll show you exactly how we link them up. So you build this, everything should be basically,
Sorry about that.
oh, no worries. So everything should be basically working up to a large company-wide target. And so this is how we build those relationships. For right now, this is kind of be one of those really high-level goals, so it's not going to have any other parent. And we do categorize all of these into two different categories. We have lead and we have lag. Lag is going to be a result of multiple efforts. A lot of times, part of the decision doesn't necessarily lie with us. So anytime we're talking about results from efforts, so like closing sales, you know, raising or shipping $1 million worth, that's going to depend on a lot of other things, parts of which are not in our control. So
Interestingly enough, we have another goal to book $1 million of commercial work in the same period. So that would be a leading one then, right?
So what we would talk about as lead goals would be things like cold calls, customer client visits, emails, stuff that's 100% where they can say, I agree to do, you know, 100 emails a week, 200 calls a week. Those would be like our lags.
Okay, we have
leads, sorry.
Leads. Yeah, we have some of those.
Okay.
So lead would be like, it could be even the production runs that you are doing inside the organization, right? So every production run, you might be producing X amount of product. So that could be the lead indicator. So
Right.
anything on which you work
10 sections a week.
is a lead indicator. All your rocks could be mostly a lag indicator.
Okay.
And so right here is where you would actually be able to choose the data source. What this is, and I mentioned real briefly before, we have the capability to interface with any system that houses your data so that it's not actually double entry. You know, like one thing that kills any sort of software installation is having to create extra work. And so we try to do that as long as the data warehouse, you know, if you're using a CRM, an ERP, homegrown solution, anything like that, as long as it's available to the web, we can go ahead and query it and interface with it. And that's how you would choose it here. It would have actually more options. So, for example, if you use like a Microsoft Dynamics, it would say Dynamics here. But just for the demo, we're going to do manual entry. So now, this is another piece that we try to do to save time. One other big headache of setting up any new software or any type of goal planning process is just the massive amount of data entry and time that it takes. So as we go down each level, if there is any goal that is shared between multiple people, so say I'm a sales manager or say I'm an ops manager, and I've got multiple people reporting directly to me that all have the same target, I can actually automatically assign the same exact goal to each and every one of them and give myself a special tracking goal or quest that will show me their results at a glance. And that's back on that first page that didn't have anything on it just yet, but will real soon here. So just for the demo, I'm going to put individual quest. Go ahead and hit save here. And what you're going to see is you're going to see these pop up over here on the left-hand side. Okay, so ship 1 mil of commercial work. So what this is you're going to see this kind of in a dark blue. That's going to be kind of the visual indication that it's a lag indicator. So to go in and actually log any kind of progress against it, one, it could come from an integration piece, like if there's like some financial or something like that data that you want to import, or lacking that, you can actually just come in and completely do this manually. I call these our progress potions. This is another piece of gamification that if you can give a visual indicator of something filling up and completing, it gives that feedback to the user. They can see how close they're getting to having something done, which actually does a lot to kind of motivate and to push them to get that all the way full. They want to see that thing completely filled up. And so I'm just going to go ahead and save the transactions here, and you'll see it automatically update. Now, you'll notice the performance index didn't increase. We're going to create another quest here right now to show you the difference between the lead and the lag. So maybe give me a lead indicator that you guys have that you'd like to track.
Let's take a look at. Give me 1 sec here. I'll bring up our scorecard.
Sure.
I think 10
Number of booms.
booms a week.
It's lagging, right?
It's lead.
It's leading. Yeah. So one is a sort of a production goal. It's 10 sections, 10 boom sections per week. This is for a particular team.
Okay.
It's lagging.
Is it lagging or?
Fast. But the
So you're
leading is how much? What is it? 15
Well,
proposals?
as you're going, it gets up to.
We were reporting.
Well, it's like 10.
Yeah.
We're going to do 10. We're going to do 10 a week. That's the goal. We're going to always do. We're going to do 10 a week minimum. That's it, right?
Yeah.
So that's one, and if that's not right, then we can look at marketing leads converted,
Marketing leads converted, or.
So wait, let's stop there. Let's say we take this 10 boom sections per week.
Okay.
Is that a leading or lag?
So is there any piece of it that is like dependent upon an outside influence that isn't under your control? Is it reliant on like a sale, or is this part of a sale, or do you always make these no matter what?
It's an execution. Yeah, so we have the orders, we have everything. We have a green light to make as many as we can, and we've set our sights on doing 10.
That would definitely be a lead then. Okay, and am I hearing the right boom section? BOOM?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Okay, cool. So you see, it went ahead and saved the commercial work dollars, so we're not having to re-enter that every single time. It even tells you manual entry, so you know that when this was created, that was a manually tracked quest. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to save this in here. Automatically puts it there. We're going to say 10. We're going to go ahead and assign it to me just so you can actually see this. Now, so part of this ship 1 million in commercial work. What this does is this creates what's called like a soft connection. Soft connection meaning this isn't really a tracking goal. Like 10 doesn't really equate to $1 million. 10 boom sections, they don't line up exactly. But this is sort of just building up like a hierarchy so that we see everything is moving into that that parent. So we're going to go ahead and choose lead here, and manual entry again for the data source, and individual, so that we can track it ourselves. Because if we assign it as the team, our progress doesn't actually matter. This is just a team quest, so I want you to be able to see that. So what we do on this is we actually have 2 views. We'll put it on a weekly basis and then put it on a daily basis. our system really excels at real-time feedback. So whenever someone comes in each day, they know if I need to do 10 a week, that means minimum 2 per day. So what this is going to allow you to do is determine, hey, this is Wednesday. If I am still not, basically around 50% on my performance index, we've got a problem. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put it to about 6. We'll go ahead and save that there. And granted, I just entered it today, so it looks like I did 6 boom sections today. But actually, the 10 works out really nicely, nice clean numbers. This value over here is our peak performance index. What this is you can see this as like an effort index. This is, I've committed to doing a certain number of things. This is how much percentage-wise I am through that amount of committed work. So, I mean, we've created 6 boom sections. We know it's Wednesday around lunchtime. I should be around halfway done through the week. I'm above, so I'm actually looking pretty good. So say we were at 20 or 30. We would know that that target for this week is going to be in danger. And as a manager, if I'm looking at this, I'm going to be able to see real quick, what my overall team performance is or my overall individual performance is, and if I'm on track. Because a lot of times, you'll have these 1 or 2 week sections of work, and it's like, hey, we want to get X done by this time. A lot of software, they'll give you reports after the fact, or they're manually run reports. If you don't happen to run them, then it's hard to pivot, or it's hard to say, hey guys, we're going to have to work a little bit of overtime to make sure that we get these targets hit for this week. Because as you get further and further behind, it gets harder and harder to make that up closer to the end of the quarter.
Sure. So do you have a company that's here with a bunch of data?
So let me see here. I've got like my own demo account that, of course, I've done all kinds of interesting things with. So let me show you that real quick. Let's see. So I was messing with some interesting values over here. Let me just reduce some of these. Let's save that back. Okay, so looking at this, if you don't mind, I just reduced some of these numbers significantly, so that's why they're showing negative. But basically, whenever I'm looking at this, if I'm looking at my personal performance for the week, I know I have basically 3 lead quests and 2 lag quests. These really could be anything that you can actually boil down to like a numeric value or a percentage completion or things of that nature. That is what our system really excels at. And so you'd be able to actually see progress on each of these here, but really what we're wanting to do is just give you that at a glance. You're at 22%. Basically, by the end of the week, you want this number to be 100. Now, that's of course company preference. Some companies set it higher, and they look for an 80 to 90% completion. Some do it less. They want to see over 100%. They want to see people look like overachievers, things like that. And so what we do is we actually bring this in on a weekly and a daily basis to help them keep track of that. And so another way that we actually this, going to the weird names, but on this we can look at any given set of data over like a weekly, a monthly, quarterly, yearly, any different time period. And so the longer and the more data that you have over a specific period of time, the better you'll actually be able to see this. Now, again, since this is a test account, not every single period has data, but you'll be actually able to see things change over time. This is kind of our reporting type features here. Actually, the current period has the most data to be able to actually show that. You can look at this also from a manager or even a team perspective. So if you want to see how a particular manager's team is doing, then you can drill down right to there. And so whenever that happens, we believe in kind of a radical transparency model that whenever you have all the data out there for everybody to see, you know, the people at the bottom, we're not out to make anybody feel bad necessarily. It is more of like, hey, this is everybody's performance, and everybody has individual goals tailored specifically to them. So, you know, a 10-year vet, you know, is the same on the same playing field as, you know, a first-year rookie. So whenever you are looking at these, you actually get apple-to-apple comparison. You know, so like if you configure the goals correctly, everybody is going to be essentially accounted on for a 1 to 100% completion. And you can even look at these from individual goal targets that you set. So, you know, if you just wanted to look at, I mean, we've got a bunch of different stuff here from different testing. But if you want to look at sales calls, lead gen, emails, say if you're raising money, you know, we've talked with some nonprofits, things like that. You can look at that data right here and be able to see individual performance at a glance. Like what we're trying to do is we're trying to decrease the amount of investigation that you have to do to see if people are engaged, if they're doing what they said they were going to do. Because really, if they're hitting all of their lead indicators, then a lot of times the performance is going to follow. But you do also have those times where you have people that are doing everything they should do, but maybe the results, the lags just are not showing up. There's something teachable there. There's skills that can be learned.
Can you go back to the
Sure.
The original screen with the with your test data?
Yeah.
Right. So those quests, are they weighted equally? So let's say your goal, your superordinate goal for the week is to get 10 of these, but certain things you're going to track differently, and maybe they're less weighty, right? They're less important. But so if we get the easy things, don't get the difficult things done, we're still at 50%. If let's say we just had 2 goals, right? So so is there a way? Do you have a way in this peak performance index to factor the importance of certain goals, or is it if there are 3 goals, then it's 33% for each one? If there are 2, it's 50. If there are 4, it's 25.
Right. So currently in this organization, what you're seeing now is just like the test again. We do have a way to be able to set up that calculation on a client per client basis, and then we would expose those settings to you. That's just a little bit of a customization that we would make available, you know, on a per need basis.
Okay.
So absolutely yes. I mean, it's actually a very pretty simple math calculation that we do. And one of the things we do on the daily quest is we actually take into account that priority. You know, so if everything is distributed equally, then the quests with the smallest target each individual one would be worth the most. You know, and so we already do a little bit of that just in ranking the daily quests. You know, how much they need to do today to move that needle. So that ranking would be affected by those weight values.
Okay.
And so also, one of the pieces that we have in here that we're really excited about, we just launched within the past few weeks, is the ability to schedule and actually execute one-on-one with your employees completely through Hitgoalz. No, the interface is very similar to sort of like an Outlook. You know, you'll pick your date and your time and who you actually want to have them with. You can even choose whether it's a weekly or a bi-weekly recurring meeting. What we do is we don't actually schedule it out for eternity. What we do is we schedule a quarter at a time. So we schedule 12 weeks. So if it's weekly, you'll have 12 instances. If it's bi-weekly or every other week, you'll have 6. And then what it does is it actually lists out everything that you have coming up, as well as what's happened in the past. So I see in a couple days, I've got a one-on-one with Shiva. whenever it gets to be that time, I just click on it, opens up in a new window here, and I can actually fill these out. So I can fill these out. We basically use a template from our research. There's really three main questions that should always be asked in a one-on-one. What went well, what didn't, and how can I help? And then we also have a box for any additional notes, comments. If you have your own templates that you want to use, you can put those in here and answer them as well in that fourth box. So anything that you have, and all of these are saved to the database so that whenever you maybe have your next one-on-one, if you want to review what you talked about last time, you can go right back to that, see what it was, and review that.
Does those calendar notes go into
I'm sorry, you broke up just a little bit.
I'm sorry, do the calendar notes go into Outlook?
So that is an integration that we're currently working on, but as of right now, they don't.
Okay.
But that is something that we're working on to be able to sync not just the notes, but it'll actually sync the calendar invite and manage that as well with Outlook. And we're looking at Outlook as well as like a Gmail integration. But that's not currently available.
Okay.
What ERP systems have you guys integrated with? You mentioned it cool and you did it better on live data. So what ERP systems have you integrated with?
So currently we've got a client with Great Plains ERP, and we've got clients with Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics. And we've even worked on some custom integration tools using like a Google Sheets for some of our really small clients who are just still running on spreadsheets. And so those are the big ones that we've done at this point.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you broke up there again.
No, okay,
that's
thanks. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, actually our first Dynamics client is coming online this week. And so if you're on any of those systems, the actual integration time will be really quick. But if you have any other kind of system, we just talked with a client just an hour ago who has an in-house developed system that we're going to be creating one for as well. And if it's an integration we don't have already, it just takes a little bit more time. We don't actually charge for that, unless we're actually coding something for you to interface with. As long as we're just creating something on our side to core burden.
Yeah. Yeah, we run Epicor here.
And Salesforce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, the Salesforce part, we've already got one going, so we would just use that same interface there. And you said Epicor was the other one? What we would do, is that like a cloud-based, or do you have that in actually on the premise?
It's on the premise, yeah.
Okay. What we would do is we'd just work with the IT team to basically set up some sort of gateway for us to query it through. Like if it's already available through like a web app, most likely we would just query it through that.
Okay. All right.
So do you have clients that are multi-site as well?
Mm-hmm.
How many clients do you have?
Hari, what was the last count that we had?
Yeah, so currently we have more than 75 organizations who have signed on to the platform. And as Tim mentioned, all of these are in active beta stage. At this point of time, we are offering a free 90-day evaluation for them. So no obligations. We want to make sure that this is the best fit for you, your organization, and it definitely has a positive impact for your business. Right. So, and the reason that we have been with the 90-day is like when typically in the rocks or the traction framework or in the OKR philosophy, it takes 90 days to kind of achieve a goal. So we want organizations to experience how this system actually helps them to transform their organization in the right direction. And so that's where we are.
So no, I get it. Like we are definitely still in active development. One of the benefits of being with a product in active development, we do have forums for feedback and feature requests. So if there's something in here that you're just like, man, I wish it just did one more thing or something really specific to y'all's business needs, we definitely are very open to all of that. So we want to show you that this can work, and we want this to be a simple process. Other I say other CRMs, we're not trying to be a CRM, but we're trying to augment those existing systems to allow you better engagement, help with morale. We're adding a bunch of new gamification type features. We're adding schedule optimizations here once we get the Outlook connections going, to where if we have things like call data and average times and priorities, we can start blocking out people's calendars around their existing meetings to allow them more uninterrupted time to get into flow, to really be a lot more successful, things like that. So there are a lot more things coming. I just want to let you know that, we're very open to feedback, but we've also got a definite idea of some really cool stuff that we want to help you guys achieve with.
That's great. So I think what we'd like to do is, I think we'd like to try that 90-day trial. But we're just about to go into, next week we're going to be going into our annual planning process. Would like to start that trial thereafter, shortly thereafter, perhaps just before Christmas, and run it for the 90 days and see how it and how it dovetails with what we're doing on EOS.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so if we could kind of time that out, we'd be amenable to give it a shot. So. Yeah.
Awesome. What we would do is, does this time next week work for you to kind of have another touch point? What we'll want to do is maybe get a little bit of research done on our end for Epicor, and just to see what's going to be the best approach, and then maybe have a slightly more technical conversation around the details of that.
I think we're probably going to be, at the onset, we'll probably just focus on manual input.
Okay.
Let's try that for now.
Yeah.
Some Salesforce stuff that we can dovetail into pretty nicely. We've got a lot of that.
Yeah.
We're going to have to come up with some good scorecard items.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we're going to be doing next week. I would say
okay.
It would be fine, but it would probably be Friday of next week before we would have our ducks in a row.
Okay.
So
I would say let's go. I mean, if you have a 2-day planning session and then on Friday you got so much data, I would say to go the week after.
Okay. So what's that Monday the week after? That's the 17th.
Yeah.
Let's target that.
Tim, do you have any screenshots of what the more traditional setup's going to look like?
Not live right now, but I can actually get some screenshots and shoot it over.
Yeah, I think that'd be good to see too. Because you said that's going to be up and running in about 3 weeks.
Yeah, we're shooting for end of December we just call it our classic version. But yeah, I mean, I can functionally, it still needs a little bit of love, but the visuals are actually all there. So I can send you exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note and I'll get one of my guys to do some screenshots. Cool.
Tim, on that classic version, just kind of just like an internal branding too. We've got Hitgoalz on there too, but is it possible to put our logo in there, kind of our theme colors?
So the colors for this version are actually designed in a certain way, but the branding absolutely can be very easily changed.
Okay.
So as long as we've got just a brand approved logo that you guys got, we can just put that up there. We'll give you the dimensions, or at least the scale that it needs to be, because we want it to look good.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
We'll
Also,
put something on calendar for 17th. Tim, yeah, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, I'll send you guys the demo login if you guys want to kind of just get in there and poke around a little bit before then. It'll just be sort of the demo data that we just created. So you guys can go in there, and create anything you like just to see how you might model it.
Okay, so I'm going to send a reply. Send it to you
Okay.
with our contact information.
Sounds good.
And what would that be? Hitgoalz? Is that correct?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Tim at Hitgoalz.
Yep.
Yeah, Tim at Hitgoalz?
Yep.
Okay. Not Timothy, but just Tim, T-I-M.
Yep.
Okay.
Where are you guys located?
We're in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Cool. Well, was there anything else, any other questions that y'all had, or?
Oh, not so far.
Cool. All right. Well, look forward to reconnecting back on the 17th.
Sounds good.
Anything else you need, don't hesitate to reach out.
Oh, just one question. The fees once we get past the 90 days, what's the fee structure for users and so forth?
Sure. I'll let Hari handle that one.
Okay, so what we are actually committing with some of our existing beta customers is like past 90 days when they do sign up, we are offering them a discount for having worked with us. But we are looking at a per user per month licensing fees of like close to about like $9 a user per month. And we have also got requests from certain organizations who want like more like a yearly consolidated pricing depending on the size of the organization. So we are open to kind of look in that direction as well. So if it meets your needs. But just to kind of give you a rough indication, that's where the pricing is hovering at this point in time.
Okay, that's good. Thank you very much, John.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right, Jens, thanks.
See you.
You bet. Take care.
Thank you all. Have a good one. Awesome job there, Tim. Good going.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good.
Good day.
I know, right? Like,
Yeah, this is
we're
how
on
it should be.
fire.
This is how it should be, right?
Yep.
Like every day, 2 demos, right?
Yeah,
We've got another one this afternoon. Oh, it's a reconnect.
yeah.
See, I mean,
In fact,
this is
December is sorry, Harry.
no, go ahead. Jit. Yeah, go ahead.
Tim, I've always had December as a fruitful month, irrespective of what the rest of the business world thinks. I've had great starts. I have had great conversations. So I think it's working out well for us.
Gotcha. I didn't realize like December was the month to go for, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Do business only in the month of December. Okay.
Shut down the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Or it's just like client acquisition happens in December.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But I'm really happy. Like, I mean, from where we started and where we are today, getting into this kind of see, this is the conversation that we need to have. It is a sense of some kind of achievement. At the same time, it at least proves that we are in the right direction. We are not totally off from where we are thinking or something like that. So, Ajit, I think both of these two are a classic case studies in defining somewhat the customer persona that we should be facing. You look at them like they are coming from manufacturing organizations. They are all adopting a framework like a Traction or like metrics given, and they are not very huge. If you look at right. Nobody took a note to what we showed today in the morning or to though these people, if you look at their profiles or like from where they're coming, they're not traditional gamification fans.
Right.
So I think we are hitting even a $5 million business is something can be our target market. So the morning one, they are just like $4 million, but they're okay to kind of spend like $9 per user per month.
I thought they were 12 million. Oh, they were 4, is it?
Yeah, 4 million is what they said.
Okay.
So I don't know about this company, ATF. I'm assuming they might be slightly larger, given a manufacturing concern. ATF and co.
Yeah, they are like an award-winning organization. So I mean, like they won 2017 Fabricator of the Year. Like if you look at their website, atfco.com,
Yes.
like it shows some pictures of their fabrication area. Oh, like they're working at scale. They're working at massive scale.
Yeah.
I mean, like looks like they're building jet turbines and
they do it for defense and all of them. So they're a very decent manufacturing organization. And this guy was the president. See, both in this case and like the morning call, we had the presidents on the call.
Yeah.
That is something that you have to note. Like, I mean, nowhere you will get that kind of an audience.
Yeah.
So,
it moves fast for us. They'll take a decision. In fact, I saw a sense of a nod in Mike when you mentioned $9, Hari.
Yeah.
So it's good for us that we reach out to this segment as well as any key stakeholder in that organization, probably a founder, a CEO, an owner, a managing director, somebody like that.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome, guys. Tim, just a quick note. Like, I mean, what happened to our previous demo data that you had? Like, did you kind of completely?
So, what do you mean, like?
That it had all the like active sales calls and all those things dashboard. Like, rather than just saying quest 1, quest 2, you had some more.
Oh, generic ones.
Yeah.
I should really make like a separate account and leave, because for mine I have to test. Like I just did a bunch of integration testing for Sumit's changes.
So why don't we actually probably create a team at Hitgoalz in that account and leave that account just for the demo purpose, probably.
Yeah. The thing is, we're gonna need to keep it up because as time goes on, those transactions will eventually expire. So we'll need to continue to enter data on a regular basis. Actually, what I should do is just write a script. Let me write
what? Like we should probably, depending on now, like we are interacting with so many different industries, and we are learning from them as well. Like what could be their goals? Have at least, 3 or 4 scenarios created, and depending on the kind of industry whom you are speaking to, we can bring up that kind of demo.
Actually, we could just set up our own integration for each of those. It actually wouldn't be that bad to essentially on a regular basis keep filling data in for. I mean, because what we'll need to do is we'll need to set up